Next one, car makers should stop replacing buttons with massive touchscreens. Yeah, sure, it's futuristic and all, but a lot of them are just becoming a hassle and a hazard. I shouldn't have to spam tap a screen to change the climate controls. A dial would be much simpler and easier to use. The screens are basically impossible to use with gloves. If you live in a colder climate, frankly, most automakers just suck at making them. They are super laggy, hard to use. Cars can still look modern with a clean button dial interior setup. Maybe a smaller screen to display information. The infotainment system should not have to constantly take the driver's attention off the road. Well, that's kind of that's a different point at the end there about how distracting it is to have, all these flashing lights and screens.
Right, but like where something is on a screen is also dependent on how well that user has learned that system. Just like if you hand an iPhone to your grandma, they're like, what the fuck am I looking at? But like maybe there are some cars where people just get used to it and they're younger and more adaptable to that kind of technology, so it becomes intuitive. So that argument only really matters if you're presenting it to a customer who's just not going to get it.
Yeah, and maybe I am a dinosaur, but I think I agree with this person. There's I have a car where there is a touch screen, and I think I would prefer the sort of tactile feel of rather than, because like you're driving, you don't want to have to touch a touch screen, right? So if I knew I could feel for the feeling of a
your
knob.
Your car has both.
Well, almost every car has both.
I think when they say this, they're thinking of like Tesla, where it's literally just a giant screen, right? There's like no buttons.
Yeah.
That's what they mean, yeah.
I guess,
do not have a Tesla, so we don't know what it's actually like.
It's true. Once we're driving cars that just drive themselves, I guess there's really not much need for these buttons, because then you can just treat your dash like an iPad.
An iPhone.
Yeah.
Play Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, but in principle,
yeah.
as we drive cars today, I do like things being buttons as opposed. And I think a lot of car manufacturers know to have sort of a balance there.
Despite my comment about the end here, about the consumer, personally, I do agree. I prefer more buttons, and I think there's a way to modernize them and make them sleeker and more minimalist or dual purpose. Like you could like control shift almost kind of logic. But it even still, that requires learning and just like memorizing where things are. Because even if whether it's a touchscreen or a button, you still have to look and figure out where it is, and then you get used to it. Mm-hmm. So unless it's a confusing touchscreen where you need to like go into an app that goes into an app and into an app, then I understand why it's like hard to memorize.
I'm not sure I think this way because of cars specifically, but if I can buy a product that has buttons instead of just a touch screen in some scenario, like I have an espresso machine because
Because you fancy coffee, man.
Yeah.
Traitor to the tea club. Traitor.
Oh, yeah. So I don't tell anyone I'm a coffee guy, not a tea guy. But I could have bought the espresso machine I have with a touch screen.
Right.
But I bought the version that just has like 1-shot, 2-shot, menu
like
button.
Yeah.
I love how you say button, by the way. Could you just say button again?
You're so weird.
It's adorable.
Button. Okay, shut up.
So to the extent that a touchscreen can stop working and that prevents you from doing anything on that machine if the whole thing is controlled by a touchscreen.
Okay, but what happened to BlackBerry? BlackBerry was all tactile, QWERTY keyboard, and then we all said, fuck it, I'm getting an iPhone, complete touchscreen. What happened?
I don't know.
See?
Well, Apple just had such better software. I don't know if it was the buttons or the lack of buttons that was what people liked, right? So
that's why I held on to my BlackBerry.
There's an alternate timeline where BlackBerry is the phone everyone uses if it just had
an alternate universe where BlackBerry reigns and like all touch screens are garbage.
Yeah, that is a good example. But like even with iPhones, when they completely got rid of any, I still am not used to not having a home button on an iPhone. And I don't know if that was a good change to make the entire screen all touch screen.
I missed the home button because it was a fingerprint scanner.
Yeah, and there was something comforting about having at least there's this one button if all the touch stuff doesn't work.
Right. I can just turn it off this way.
I mean, you can, yes.
All
right. So I don't think this is an unpopular opinion at all.
It depends on your age to decide whether or not this is an unpopular opinion.
Yeah, kids these days are like, buttons? What are those?
What is a button?
Button.